welcome back. Sonita, you recently held or part of, if not you organized, the Svata Bootcamp in Silicon Valley, which sees around seven
Indonesian tech entrepreneurs
that you work with in that whole span of 7 days. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that go?
Sure. You know what? Actually, first of all, I do want to just correct you for fairness sake. So I did this with 3 other co-founders. So there are 4 of us. So it's myself and then Felice Beckman. Alex Beckman, and also Shinta Danuwardoyo, Shinta Bubu. I believe Shinta is actually pretty, I guess, well known here in Indonesia. So it was the idea of the 4 of us because we really saw the need to connect, the tech ecosystem between Indonesia and Silicon Valley and vice versa. And so we said, hey, why don't we just formalize this and let's make this happen, you know? So this was our first boot camp. It was 2 weeks ago. It was a success. We brought about 7 Indonesian kind of like tech ecosystem participants, so there were several entrepreneurs, there was a VC, there was like someone from an incubator. So, it's a mix, of participants. But basically the idea was, we know that we will not be changing people's lives in 1 week. However, we really wanted to take these people and immerse them in the Silicon Valley experience. So it was like a week boot camp, and each day we have a theme. So for instance, the first day would just be, introduction to Silicon Valley, because, believe it or not, some people don't know the history of Silicon Valley. So they met with like, entrepreneurs from Silicon Valley from different stages, from like the kind of early stage to middle stage. I mean, no one at the big stage yet, but they kind of just share about their experience. How did they start the company? How did they get funding? What were some of the challenges? That was the first day. And then we took them to visit, some, I would say, mid-sized companies. The second day is another theme. The second day could be about fundraising. And then the third day about scaling, because sometimes what we found is like, it's easy to start, but then how do you scale from, let's say, I don't know, 100,000 users to like 10 million users, so scaling was a big topic. I think everyone was interested, and we covered that. So in terms of the kind of like companies or facilities that we visited like a range of companies and facilities as well. So of course there are the VCs, because people are always interested to meet VCs and kind of ask them, what would make you invest in a certain company? How interested are you in investing in Indonesian companies? We also visited several accelerators, Y Combinator, and I think we went to Plug and Play as well, if I'm not mistaken. But, by going to different accelerators, these participants could see the different approaches that, different accelerators in the US took. So for instance, someone like Y Combinator actually does not believe in a co-working space. So it is very hard to like be selected to be a Y Combinator company, but once you're selected, then you get funding. I think they give you $120,000 US for 7% of the company. And then mentorship, Mentorship to teach you how to like scale your products, how to reach your customers in a cost-effective way, with their network and distribution channels and all that. So I think the participants like to see that. But then there are other accelerators where part of what they believe is the co-working space. They actually want these different startups that they fund to be in the same space because they felt
ideas,
because they
share
felt
their challenges.
Exactly. So just different approach. Y Combinator believes everyone should have their own space because you have to build your own culture.
Focus.
Exactly. But others feel like, no, hey, let's be in a co-working space. You can share like horror stories, challenges, learn from each other, opportunities, and blah blah blah. So we did that. And I think towards the end, and by the way, I couldn't, unfortunately, I had a business trip, towards the end, so I couldn't join all of their activities. But towards the end, I believe I think Pak Ridwan Kamil's
I saw that on the social media. He was there.
Exactly, he was also there. So I think on the last day, I think the bootcamp participants had a chance to also meet with him, and perhaps even went to like the same visit, 1 or 2 visits with him.
One of the tech-savvy mayors, isn't he? He cares very much about how information technology could help develop the city.
And I heard he's going to build Bandung as one of the kind of first smart cities in Indonesia. Yeah, which is great.
So basically, you gave them a grand tour of what's going on in Silicon Valley, and an eye-opener for these young entrepreneurs.
An eye-opener, and actually, to be honest with you, Flo, like a lot of the appointments are with our own personal friends. So it's very, of course, some were like formal meetings. So of course, in formal meetings, I think people are very careful with what they say. But some of the other meetings are with our personal friends, you know, so they are much more honest about like things, including all the challenges and all the failures that they've had, and we felt that, you know, the participants, of course, they valued both. You know, if you go to a big company like Apple, of course they're gonna give you like a formal meeting. They're not gonna be as open, but you know, they're still very open in terms of like what they view as the kind of potential, you know, of working with Indonesian entrepreneurs. But when you meet, let's say, with an entrepreneur who has made it, let's say who has failed, and then like who had sold, you know, company for $900 million to Amazon, you know, the guy was like more. Yeah, actually, we met one of those guys at Y Combinator, and I could just tell the participants were like, wow, like,
so
how
basically
come he's so wow, look at that, he's just in jeans and like t-shirt.
So simple. How can this? Yeah. So basically, you in a nutshell, you also gave a dream come true, or a trip of their lifetime, meeting all these IT execs from Google, from Apple, Twitter. I suppose these are also the big tech companies, social media that you pay a visit or be part of the program as well.
Exactly. But of course, what we hope is not just a meeting, but you know, we hope, of course, it depends on the chemistry and the openness. But what we hope is like they could continue, you know, whatever relationship they had built during the trip. And of course, like I said, everyone probably has different chemistry with, you know, whoever they met. But what we hope is like it could continue, and even after they come back here as an alumni. Of course, we're very early, Flo, but our plan,
like you said, is 0.1 version 0.1. So
version
I'm sure there's going to be other versions
but
as well.
But we do want to. Our vision is to eventually make it like a class of alumni who also give back. Because that's also how like the accelerators and incubators in Silicon Valley are doing that. If you're an alumni of a Y Combinator, you're supposed to mentor.
You got to spread that knowledge. You can't bring 500,000 Indonesians over to Silicon Valley.
Exactly.
There's got to be a smarter way in trying to spread the knowledge from Silicon Valley. Sonita, we're coming on to our last segment, but this is the last segment. I'd like you to focus on Silicon Valley and here in Indonesia right after this short break.